That we need to talk about this morning and severe weather. Notice here into Michigan, we do have a lot of people without power. We're talking over 31,000 customers in southwestern Michigan that are currently without power, a few in Ohio and also Wisconsin, Illinois, and Indiana as well. Hopefully these power outages will be back up and running now that things have quieted down. So here's a look at those 20 tornadoes that were reported by the Storm Prediction Center. And by the way, our first ever tornado emergency here into Michigan. And that's when a tornado has been spotted. You know, significant injuries could happen to a human. That is the most serious you can get with a tornado warning, is that tornado emergency. And we had that for the first time here into Michigan. I tell you what, the Midwest, we need to do a segment on that. The Midwest has seen an incredible amount of tornadoes here for the start of the year. So this morning, there's plenty of moisture in place. There's plenty of warmth in place. We have not only this warm front, but we have what's left of our cold front from that other system. And that's where our storms are kind of lining up this morning. But we're going to see things really ramp up yet again. Why is that? Well, we do have jet energy. We have the southern branch. We also have the northern branch coming around our trough that we are dealing with. That gives us lift as well. And we have also a low-level jet coming into this vicinity too. And we are going to see quite a bit of shear in the atmosphere as we go throughout the day. So here is your southern jet. That's coming in. Here is your troughiness, and you got the northern branch on the south side of that. And so that's what's actually happening in the atmosphere for you. And so this morning, this is kind of all lined up on our boundary for us. We are watching this cluster of thunderstorms. There was a couple severe thunderstorm warnings on this, but as we go through the day, we could have more supercells fire up for us because there's just a lot of wind energy, there's a lot of heat energy, there's a lot of moisture energy. We're kind of getting it from all sides. We do have a tornado watch until, that should be, let's see, expiring here in the next hour throughout portions of Memphis, and storms very likely today. And this is right kind of where everything lines up, not only with that jet energy wind that's coming in, but also that low-level jet that's coming in. You get the winds kind of out of the southwest with that. So you're going to see some spin happening. And there is also the potential. Yesterday into Michigan, we had softball size hail that's 4 inches in diameter. We could see that again today. Very large hail for us coming down. That can cause damage. And your winds, it's not only about supercells. It's also about the wind damage within these thunderstorms, perhaps a cluster of thunderstorms that could develop. And that is going to give us the threat for winds 75 miles an hour or greater, which does damage for us. So as we go through the day into the afternoon, things really ramp up more like late afternoon into the evening. That's when everything really starts to come together. Look at 6, 8 o'clock. Things really start firing up for us here. And it's in a lot of the same areas that have been dealing with severe weather over the last several days for us. I mean, it has just been nonstop. Heavy rainfall as well. Tennessee getting hit. We had a tornado there. I think it was an EF1 they rated it. Someone correct me if I'm wrong in Smithville, right? Was EF1? Okay. There's been so many tornado reports. Sometimes you're like, I just don't want to make sure I get it mixed up. But Smithville just had an EF1 tornado. More rain on top of those areas and storms as we head into our Thursday morning. And Jim, speaking of tornadoes, the National Weather Service has been out, trying to gather as much information they can to give us the ratings on all of these.
Yeah, we're barely seeing the ratings come in before our next threat. I mean, it's really right on top of each other. National Weather Service.
Very large hail. How does this all translate into our Thursday? What happens on Thursday? So we have our boundary that is going to start pushing south. Now, there is still along the I-10 corridor plenty of moisture, plenty of heat for this to tap into, and plenty of energy in order to cause those storms to develop. And by the way, with this upper level disturbance into Texas, we could actually see some stronger thunderstorms for us here. And that's why around Austin, Waco, Dallas, it is likely that we could see some of those bigger boomers. And then the rest of the southeast, a lot of us do have the chance for stronger thunderstorms all the way up to Washington, D.C. So we pick up tomorrow morning where things are rocking and rolling here along the I-20 corridor for us. And into the Carolinas, you can see that boundary kind of moving south and east and linger as we head into the afternoon into places like Charleston, Savannah, and notice as we head into the evening hours how things are still firing up. It doesn't just die down because the sun sets. It's about daytime heating, but not all about daytime heating. And I don't want people to get it twisted. That does make a difference, having the warmth and all that. But the winds play a huge role in energizing these storms and keeping them going. whether they're low-level winds or upper-level winds or just an upper-level piece of energy like I showed you. But with that colder pocket aloft, that could support some bigger hail threats for us here. And we are no stranger to hailstorms. In Dallas specifically, I feel like Dallas has had their fair share of hail and hail damage. So maybe check your insurance, make sure it's up to date. Right, and that you are covered for hail, because those could blast through and definitely cause some problems. Jim, a closer look again real quick here of when it's all coming through. This stuff is going to be around dinner time, bedtime, and at least you'll be able to sleep with ease, Jim. Assuming that your property is not damaged.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be kind of...
Welcome back into America's Morning Headquarters. It is Wednesday, the 8th of May. Many Americans are waking up from a long night of severe storms that caused extensive damage across the Midwest. That includes a pair of likely tornadoes that struck the city of Portage, Michigan, destroying numerous homes and businesses in the process. Emergency crews rescuing at least 50 trapped workers from this destroyed warehouse in southwest Michigan. Now, it all comes on top of a deadly EF4 tornado that almost flattened a northeast Oklahoma town on Monday. And unfortunately, there's a threat for more storms. And they're already firing up right now. We've had a few severe thunderstorm warnings, but Jim, it gets more active as the day goes on.
Yeah, we got a heck of a 24.
Another threat means the deadly consequences of tornadoes are in the spotlight once again. Meteorologist Alex Wilson has some tips to keep you safe if you're out on the road when a tornado threatens. That advantage. And so we want to show you the timing for places like Nashville. And Nashville could get hit pretty hard, not only with the threat of a tornado, but also damaging winds and large hail, and not to mention a flood threat really for the entire state of Tennessee. We have a lot of rain and repeated rounds of rain coming through. So here's our first round coming through as we go through the morning and lunchtime. Then as we head into the evening, there's more rain that's coming in overnight, more showers, more. I mean, it is nonstop. That is all the way through tomorrow morning. So we have nearly 24 hours of, I'm not going to say consistent rain, but we have a lot of it coming in. Paducah, we also have a 5. Damaging winds are likely, hail are likely. And I know this one might be like, you could get some winds. I'll tell you what, sometimes these winds are worse than a low-end tornado, or they're equivalent to an EF1 or an EF2 damage if a tree comes down and slices in your house. So they can be significant. And here's a look at the Paducah area. Again, rounds of rain as we head into this afternoon, continuing into the evening, and you'll stay cloudy and wet all the way through the overnight hours, and then we finally clear out as we head into tomorrow morning. So this is another area that could see that flood threat. St. Louis, we are in a 5, and of course we have live team coverage out here to cover all this severe weather. Our rain comes in again this afternoon, 1, 2 o'clock. Heavier showers. You get a little bit of a break here, and then we see more rain coming in as we head to bed, and then it quiets down. It's not as extensive here, the rainfall in and around St. Louis, but it is certainly there. I-44, Jordan, is going to be a tough go.
All right, we do want to get
the official start of the hurricane season, and now is the time to get prepared. NOAA has declared this week Hurricane Preparedness Week. Each day is themed to help you understand the risks from hurricanes and begin pre-season preparations. And our hurricane expert, Dr. Rick Knabb, will join the 2024 Hurricane Awareness Tour tomorrow in Charleston, South Carolina. So if you see him, say hi to him. He's a super nice guy. Really, really nice guy. Super, super smart guy, too, if you have any questions. So when a storm threatens, we want you to get moving. Cover the windows. By the way, plywood, do not use tape. That is a total waste of your time. Determine your shelter options. Obviously, get your go bag, your car ready, and follow the evacuation orders if they are given. And of course, the evacuation orders, they go by zone, so know your zone. Now, of course, the worst hurricane that we could possibly have is a Category 5. Only 4 have been known to make landfall in the U.S., 2 of those occurring in August, which were Camille and also, of course, Andrew. Andrew, the first A-named storm, didn't happen until August in 1992. Of course, it goes from Cat 1 to Cat 5, Cat 5 being the strongest here. And when you talk about damage, once you get to Cat 5, it is 500 times worse damage than at a Cat 1. So as you can see, it goes up exponentially with those stronger winds. So when you have hurricane winds, you don't want to stay in a mobile home. You don't want to stay on the floors of a high rise. You will feel that building shake, Jordan. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, where it kind of sways in the wind when there's a hurricane.
Yeah, it's daunting. And the noises that
yesterday, our first ever tornado emergency in Michigan. And that is a big deal here because I was just looking up Ohio. We've had a lot of storms in the Midwest. And in Ohio, we have seen over twice as many tornadoes as we typically see in the whole year already. And we're just getting into May. All right, into Michigan, that first ever tornado emergency, the tornado damage in Sherwood. There was trees snapped and damage to at least one home. A tornado emergency is when essentially there is a tornado that's been spotted, or there is, lives could be, people could lose their lives, could die because of a tornado. They see one on the ground. It is the basically highest level of a tornado warning that you can get. Here is a look at all the tornadoes that were reported yesterday. We had up to softball-sized hail in Michigan, 4 inches in diameter. And by the way, we're going to see another round, and some of us in the Midwest are still going to see some of these storms. Lots of warm, moist air. We've got this boundary here, this warm front. Storms like to ride along that. But we also have some strong jet level winds. We have our southerly jet and we have our northerly branch as well. And what's going to happen is we get some low-level winds to punch in here, our low-level jet, and you're going to see some pretty decent shear. The low-level winds are kind of from the southwest. So we have very good shear, which gives us spin, which means that we could see severe weather. So here is your southern branch. Here's your big trough that we're dealing with here. Lots of energy there. And you get the more northern branch coming around the base of that. So all of this is going to mean a very robust day for us. We have lots of heating. We have lots of moisture. That's all very buoyant. And so that allows everything to rise up. And we do have a severe thunderstorm warning here into Arkansas. We've been watching this cluster all morning long, just to the east of Goodwin, heading basically off to the north and the east. So Memphis, you could get some rain out of this system. Otherwise, a cluster of storms that is going through Tennessee and also into Kentucky. Tennessee's been getting hit hard. Smithville, an EF1 tornado that is now confirmed. And we do have areas like Portage, Nashville, Mount Juliet, Lebanon. You will get rain from this as we head from, say, 6:28 until about 6:47 is when it will get into Lebanon. So today, it all really kind of comes together later in the day and as we head into the evening hours with that low-level jet, and we have both jet streams coming across, so it takes a little bit of time to come in. Hail could be 2 inches or greater. You're talking about lime size or greater. Yesterday, it was 4 inches in diameter. So I wouldn't be shocked if we saw that again. And by the way, we have a very large area that could see winds 75 miles an hour or greater. That can cause damage. 75-mile-an-hour winds are equivalent to a Category 1, low-end Category 1 hurricane. Just to kind of give you some visualizations there, they can be very strong. They can take down trees. They can do damage, so keep that in mind. So this is kind of our first batch coming through, all kind of riding along that warm front for us, and we will see a real explosion as we head later in the day into the evening, and very heavy rain. Look at Tennessee getting clobbered, and it's round after round after round. It's an all-day event for us in Tennessee, so flooding could certainly happen. And then everything kind of pushes down towards the I-10 corridor as we head into our Thursday, and I'll talk in more detail about that in just a few minutes. Speaking of more detail, we got more detail in about the Barnsdall tornado, Jim.
Yeah, low NDF4. Okay, not surprised it was long track. Is from what we see.
It's all going to be shifting south as we head into our Thursday. So as we see this southeast, the front moving through the southeast, there is still going to be plenty of energy along that I-10 corridor for us. We got the daytime heating, we've got the moisture, we've got the buoyancy, and we've got some upper level energy, and this could really kick things off for us into Texas, giving us a threat for hail because that is a cold pocket aloft, and that cold air allows that hail to grow and become bigger and bigger and bigger. And so that's one of the issues that we're going to have into Texas, and that severe weather goes all the way up into Washington, D.C. So let's roll through the hours here. We pick up right where we left off tomorrow morning. Notice showers coming through the Atlanta metro area through lunchtime, then headed towards Charleston and Savannah as you head towards kind of that get ready for dinner time, and things continue as we head into the evening hours between I-10 and also into I-20. There's your hail threat, and it is greater because of that cold pocket that I was telling you about. 2-inch hail or greater for us from Dallas down into Austin. And as we go through the day, watch how we're into the afternoon hours now, 2, 3, 4 o'clock. You see everything kind of explode. And I'll tell you what, these kind of give me the look that they're going to be big hailstorms. I've just seen these before on the radar, and they usually really can crank it out. So as we head around 5, 6 o'clock, we could be getting hammered by it. It moves into the Louisiana area overnight. So at least you'll be able to sleep soundly. hopefully there isn't any damage that you're already dealing with for us here. So let's go through the day here and into the afternoon. Everything really explodes. 5, 6 o'clock, Weatherford, I-20. This is going to slow flights down. Do you have a flight in or out of Dallas, connecting through Dallas? Is your plane coming from Dallas? You might be somewhere where there's beautiful sunny weather. But if your plane's coming from Dallas, you could get delayed. You're like, I don't understand. What are you talking about? There's a weather delay. It's happening at the origin point here of your airplane. So what updrafts require hail to be 4 inches? Look at that, 100-mile-per-hour winds to keep this suspended, to grow and grow and grow. And, Jim, we did see 4-inch hail yesterday, a couple reports of it at least.
Yeah, in Michigan.
Welcome back into America's Morning Headquarters. It is Wednesday, the 8th of May, and many Americans are waking up from a long night of severe storms that caused extensive damage across the Midwest. That includes a pair of likely tornadoes that struck the city of Portage, Michigan, destroying numerous homes and businesses in the process. Emergency crews rescuing at least 50 trapped workers from this destroyed warehouse in the southwestern part of Michigan. It all comes on top of a deadly EF4 tornado that almost flattened a northeast Oklahoma town on Monday. And unfortunately, the threat for severe is far from over. We have storms already this morning with severe thunderstorm warnings on them. And Jim, it's actually going to get more active as we go into the afternoon and into the evening.
It sure is.
Struggling to come to terms with the devastation after a monster tornado hit northeast Oklahoma on Monday night. Dave Malkoff with our partners at CBS News joins us from the hard-hit town of Bartlesville. Dave, we know the tornado struck at least 2 towns. 1 person is still missing in nearby Barnsdall. What can you tell us overall about the search and rescue efforts? Are they still ongoing? Worst hit areas still receiving the resources that they need? Are people able to get in there? Damage that you've seen so far, Dave, can you describe to us some other types of damage that you've seen in this EF3 low-end EF4 tornado?
No.
Verifying. Dave Malkoff with our partners at CBS News. We certainly appreciate you joining us today. All right, well, that storm threat has now shifted. It is the official start of the hurricane season, and now is the time to get prepared. NOAA has declared this week Hurricane Preparedness Week. Each day is themed to help you understand the risks from hurricanes and begin preseason preparations. And our hurricane expert, Dr. Rick Knabb, will be joining the 2024 Hurricane Awareness Tour tomorrow in Charleston, South Carolina. What do you do right now? What should you be doing getting ready for hurricane season? It officially starts June 1st. Now is the time to make sure you have all your supplies. I would do it now before all those lines get really, really long. So maybe go get all the wood that you would need to cover your windows and just store it in your garage. You don't want to use tape. That's a big no-no. Determine which shelter you go to. Get your go bag ready, maybe your flashlights, new batteries. Make sure nothing is corroded, and follow evacuation orders if they are given. And they're given by zones, and so maybe figure out what zone you're in. Well, if you're in the zone closest to the coast and there's a Cat 5 coming, you will be evacuated. 2 of these happen in August. That would be Andrew and Camille, because all this week we're talking about things in August. These are the only 4 known Category 5 hurricanes that make landfall in the U.S., and we want to talk about Andrew. All right, and by wind, how strong a hurricane is. So it goes from Cat 1 to Cat 5, Cat 5 being the strongest. And when you get to a Cat 5, they are actually 500 times more damaging than a Cat 1 hurricane. So what should you do if you see a hurricane coming towards you? And specifically, what should you do when it comes to the winds? Plywood or shutters? Again, no tape. I cannot emphasize that enough. They do nothing except for make your windows sticky and gooey. It's a mess. Shelter, where would you like to go? If there's a tornado in your home, if you are staying home, don't stay in a mobile home. Jordan and I were just talking about this morning. And also, don't stay in the upper floors of a high rise. It is loud and you will feel the thing move, and the windows could break out.
Yep. All right, we're
here, and of course, the bulk of them are into Michigan. This is where we had our first ever tornado emergency, And there was tornado damage in Sherwood along Arney Road, and it was relayed by a trained spotter. There was trees snapped and damage to a house. A tornado emergency is the highest warning that you can get. That means someone has spotted a tornado on the ground and they are worried about, people dying or damage to property. We are sitting at over 30,000 customers in Michigan without power. So 20 reported tornadoes. We also had hail that was softball size into Michigan. You're talking about 4 inches in diameter, which is wild. Ohio, by the way, the state of Ohio, seeing twice as many tornadoes already this year than we typically get for the entire year. They've had 48 reported tornadoes. We typically get 22 for the entire year. We will see more storms. They'll ride along this warm front up and over it. They like doing that. But we also have winds, okay? This is our subtropical jet coming in, and then this is our northern branch, and this is our trough, our low, lots of energy right in this too. But these winds really energize the systems, and we get a low-level jet that's going to be coming in right in this vicinity as we head around, let's say like 1 o'clock-ish and into the evening hours. And so that will really kick things off even more later in the day. Here's that subtropical jet I was just drawing. There is our trough. Whoops, that didn't work so well. Our low, and there's all this energy in here, and you're also going to get that northern branch cutting across. So all of this is going to come together and kick off storms. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch until 2 o'clock already here into Missouri. That includes Kansas City, where we've had some stronger thunderstorms this morning, into Bates, Cass, and also into Johnson County. Watch out in these for the hail and those damaging winds. And basically, this thing is moving north. So Kansas City, riding along I-5, this is getting right into Kansas City. Lots of lightning. And remember, lightning can be as hot as 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It heats up the atmosphere. It expands. And then you get the thunder rumbling through, the sound waves from that rumbling through. Our hail has been over an inch. And so you're talking about stuff that can actually do damage. 1.5 inch, 1 3/4 is golf ball size. We've seen bigger than that here, estimated by our radar. And notice where we have a boundary is where everything is kind of lined up right now. But as we go through the day, we will see a much wider area be impacted by these storms. Hail 2 inches or greater. That's about lime size or maybe egg size if you're eating eggs this morning for breakfast while you're watching us. And then winds 75 miles an hour or greater. A lot of times people sustain that wind damage and not tornado damage, but they think it's tornado damage, but it's actually just from very strong winds. It is round after round after round. And notice as we go into the evening hours, we are going to see another line develop for us, and that's going to be pushing east. But Tennessee is going to be getting drenched, and I don't like that this is happening overnight is when things are probably going to get bad, because we'll see rounds and round through the day and into the evening hour. Heavy rain for us, and then everything will kind of settle down and south of that I-20 corridor, I-20 to I-10 corridor, which we'll talk about later, because, Jim, it's not just for, today. It goes into our Thursday as well.
Right, and Dallas is included in that hail threat, and so is D.C.
Yeah.
So, you get bigger areas here. I mean, it's interesting, Stephanie, the whole
Thursday now, when everything shifts kind of I-20 to I-10, this is going to run into plenty of moisture, plenty of heat. We've got a boundary. We know what those do, right? Lifts everything up for us. And we will see plenty of heat and energy for these storms to feed off of as we go through our Thursday. Now, Thursday won't be as intense, with the exception of Texas. Actually, we could see some really decent hail here, thanks in part to this piece of energy, these pieces of energy that is cold air aloft, which causes instability and also keeps the atmosphere colder for a deeper layer, and that can allow the hail to grow even bigger. So that's why we have a bigger threat there into Texas for severe weather, but it goes all the way up to D.C., as Jim was mentioning. This is a long stretch right along a boundary, and watch it as we pick up tomorrow morning, still with the rain, still with the storms, still with the clouds. That all pushes through Atlanta around lunchtime. Charleston, Savannah heads to you as we head into that kind of happy hour pre-dinner time, and then look how everything continues going as we head into the evening hours. Still stormy into Jackson and into Little Rock. I want to focus in on Texas, though. This is where we have that upper level energy to keep things colder in the atmosphere and keep that hail cranking out. We could see 2-inch hail, maybe greater than that. We have seen up to 4-inch hail this week, even into Michigan. And notice as we go throughout the day, It takes until later in the day for those parameters to set up to give us big hailers. But when you see the white pop on the radar like that, yes, that's an indication of heavy rain. But typically heavy rain is going to be more convection, which means stronger winds, which also means that we're going to get some hail out of these. Dallas, it will be through as we head into the overnight, which is good for us. We'll be able to actually sleep easy here. A closer look at our timeline here from Jacksboro to Gainesville to Weatherford really starts kicking off around 5. Maybe do bath time early tonight, shower early so you're not in the bath or the shower when these storms are coming through. There'll be a lot of lightning, and then they start to dwindle as really kind of you go to bed here. But Jim, it takes a lot to get 4-inch size hail. You need an updraft of 100 miles an hour. But out of those cells, we could get some decent updrafts here to get baseball, even teacup size hail.
And you know what about next? Your bags are packed, your reservations are confirmed, and you are ready for vacation. But Mother Nature has all that going on. Right?
Travel disasters may be inevitable, but we've got tips on how to minimize them. Joining us this morning is Nick Ewan, Senior Editorial Director for The Points Guy. Nick, let's talk about delayed and canceled flights. They're beyond our control, but now the Biden administration passed a rule that you get your full cash refund back.
Yeah, so these new regulations take effect.
Just give you a bunch of points.
Yeah.
All right, which was the old
vouchers.
case, or vouchers or things like that. So if you know your flight's likely to be delayed, let's say before it even gets delayed, what are some ways to be proactive?
Well, the first thing, if you're traveling...
I've done this before. Just being a meteorologist, I have a little bit of a leg up. I look at the radar in the morning. I'm like, there's storms coming. I'm going to switch my flight to an earlier flight.
Yeah, the nice thing is a lot of airlines do
this morning and how this is going to apply. All right, so what's the deal with travel insurance? When should you buy it? It's because it's not all the time.
Of course. So the first thing to do before you even think about travel...
Pay us back. We're coming to you. Nick Ewan, our Senior Editorial Director for The Points Guy. Thanks for joining us this morning. Amazing stuff, how that could apply today.
Yeah, it could. Jordan, how about dogs that are maybe taking till the official start of hurricane season, and now is the time to get prepared? NOAA has declared this week Hurricane Preparedness Week. Each day is themed to help you understand the risks from hurricanes and begin preseason preparations. And our hurricane expert, Dr. Rick Knabb, will be joining the 2024 Hurricane Awareness Tour tomorrow in Charleston, South Carolina. Ask him any questions you want. He's super smart, really nice guy as well. So what should you do when a storm threatens? You want to get the windows covered, protect them, protect the doors. By the way, do not use tape. That is a big no-no. You only want to use plywood. That tape doesn't even really help if something hits. It just makes them sticky. Determine your shelter, have your go bag ready, and follow evacuation orders. We don't want everyone evacuating at the same time. Evacuate by zones when they call your zones. Now, the biggest, strongest hurricane that you can get is a Category 5, and we're talking all things August this week. We have 4 known hurricanes that make landfall in the U.S. at Category 5, 2 of them occurring in August. The first one going back in time, Andrew, 1992. By wind, you can also do it by pressure, but we're going to focus in on the wind. So our wind speed here, 75 to 157 plus, that's a Cat 5. Cat 5 damage is 500 times worse than Category 1 damage. So it goes up exponentially as the hurricanes get stronger here. So what should you do if a hurricane is threatening you? Again, we went over the windows. Don't tape, use plywood. Shelter if you would, like a tornado, if you're far enough away and don't need to go to an actual shelter. So interior section. Also, don't stay in a mobile home. That's the worst place you can be. If there's somewhere else to go, please do it. And when you're in these high rises, that debris can break windows. So be very careful and watch for it to be swaying in some of those strong winds.